What's up, brothers? Welcome back to the Alpha Platform. Before we get started, just not to like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for supporting your queer black content creators. I can say for all of us on this platform, we greatly appreciate it. Now, today, this is going to be a queer money segment. I'm glad you guys liked the first episode of Queer Money, but this is episode number 2. And for episode number 2, we're going to be focusing on Trump's tariffs. Not only just the tariffs, but when they're going to take effect, as well as what items are going to be affected, and lastly, what prices could we expect at the grocery store for those items in the future, because it's very important that we kind of time things out, that we begin to plan and prepare, because as queer people, like I said in episode 1, we don't have the support structures like heterosexual people do in terms of having family, kids, relatives, whatever, that support us, especially as we get up in age or get into our older age. So let's talk about it. Let's get into everything tariffs, and I will come back with my closing remarks. Let's go.
The Wolfman, ALFRED with Queer Money. Hit like and subscribe because you heard about me. Hey, we're going to talk about Trump's tariffs, when consumers should expect inflation prices to hit, and specifically which items at the grocery store will be more expensive. We're going to go through all that, as well as the prices now, in addition to what the prices will be after the tariffs come into effect. Let's get into this article by CNBC. It's breaking news. It says Trump tariffs, when consumers should expect inflation price hikes to hit wallets. Let's get into it. This one says consumers and businesses should expect inflation to be resurgent and prices across many goods and services to rise. But if companies start citing President Trump's new tariffs and price hikes today, they're just taking advantage of the situation. That is one of my biggest fears. We saw that during the pandemic. I don't care what anyone says. The pandemic has been over for quite some time now. But why are prices still high? Like, the company cited the pandemic, but yet they did not want to lower prices. So I feel like the same situation is going to occur here. Oh, tariffs are going to go up for the Chinese products. Therefore, we just want to blame everything on tariffs. And we have an excuse to pad our pockets and our wallets with money from consumers by raising the prices just because we can, and nobody will say otherwise. So be on the lookout for this. I would not take companies' word to heart when they tell us we're only raising prices because of tariffs. Like, no. At this point in time, American companies need to be lowering prices so American citizens can buy the products instead of buying foreign-made products, because they should be more expensive in the very near future. All right, let's continue on here. It says that's based on the way customs enforcement works and how long it takes for products from overseas to move through the global supply chain. There was some belief that when Trump's tariffs went into effect at midnight, the price impacts would be immediate. And some have already started to talk that way. Quote, businesses are starting to raise prices in anticipation of how to weather this storm, which means costs are going up for families, says Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. But an updated guidance on the China tariffs released by U.S. Customs on Tuesday included an on-the-water clause, which states that cargo coming into the ports today or in the coming weeks will not be subject to tariffs, which is good news for us. I've been hearing that tariffs should not come into play immediately. I would say we have a good month before we really feel this in our wallets and our handbags and whatnot. We have a good month. So, buy what you can that's Chinese made, foreign made in the next few weeks, and leave it at that. Don't go overboard. I'll talk about this more later. Don't go overboard. Start hoarding things like we did during the pandemic with bathroom tissue. Not necessary. Just buy a little bit of stuff that you can that is cheaply made right now. That you will probably have a rough time affording when it does go up in price. Let's continue on. It says, be cool. Everything's going to work out well. That's what Trump wrote on Truth Social 3 minutes after markets open on Wednesday. He said, this is a great time to buy stock. Pause. You would be crazy to buy stock right now, because as we've seen at the start of this week, stocks have just been going down every single day. So if you bought today and stocks go down tomorrow, you're losing money, right? So you need to wait until we reach the bottom of this thing, until we come to a conclusion about what Trump's going to do about tariffs, and then you start investing in the stock market again. Specifically, when I talk about investing in the stock market, I'm talking about individual stocks. Some people like to invest in individual stocks, which is fine. It's just more risky. I like to invest in index funds. Basically, it's a portfolio of hundreds of companies that you invest in at one time, and that leaves you less subjected to risk if things go up and down in the economy. So I'm still investing in my investment account via Acorns. I'll leave a link below for you to join Acorns. You'll get free money if you try to invest and sign up and whatnot. Very good platform to use. It's easy to invest with Acorns. So yeah, I'll put the link in the comments and description box as well. But yeah, I'm going to keep investing in my index fund account because, I'm not being impacted like so many people are by investing in individual stocks because I didn't do that, So the tariffs are not hitting me and my portfolio as hard because I'm not invested in individual stocks, Anyhow, it says, to be sure, the hit to both businesses and consumers is on the way, as billions of dollars per day of imports are tariffed, with more than half from China at a 104% rate. That is crazy. Crazy. On Wednesday, Trump added another change to the fluid situation, saying some countries other than China will receive a 90-day pause in the implementation of tariffs, but new tariffs on China would rise to 125%. That is insane. Excuse me. That's going to collapse the Chinese economy, and that's going to collapse our economy as well. And I think these billionaires want this. Every time a Republican gets into power, gets into the White House, we have recessions. And I think it's because that's the time when people with money want to buy up things and get more wealthy. Like during 2008, they weren't freaking out because they bought up all the houses and whatnot. Like they've been doing this stuff for decades. So they learned the trick, crash the economy, buy up everything that you can afford to buy. And, let the poor people, leave them with next to nothing. They'll be renters, never own anything, and be happy about it. That's what we're looking at. That's our future. It says a recent CNBC survey of the CNBC CEO Council found most CEOs saying prices will rise anywhere from 5 to 20%. Though there are dueling forces at work, an era in which consumers have become more accustomed to inflation, but a time when companies are more cautious about sending more price hikes through and already stretched consumers. This is going to be risky for these companies. If you try to raise price on us, I can see us boycotting. If it gets too high, I can see us boycotting. I'm going to read some prices, some future prices for you guys in a bit, and I want you to tell me if it's too high, if it's crazy. Let's just wrap this up very quickly. Give me just a moment. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell recently said that the announced tariffs were significantly larger than expected. He said, quote, the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth, he said. So Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chair, he's in charge of the interest rates for the economy. If tariffs get too high, unemployment gets too high, I can see him trying to lower down interest rates to speed up things in the economy, but we don't need that right now. We need interest rates to remain as high as possible to combat inflation. We don't need consumers out here buying and buying and buying like nothing's happening. We need to slow down on the spending and consuming. Therefore, companies have no incentive to keep raising their prices. They have no choice but to lower their prices. So it's like if we start doing our part, they have no choice but to do their part because we have the power. I want to move on here to our grocery items that will be more expensive, the top 10 supermarket items that will be more expensive. That includes seafood. It includes coffee, fruit, alcohol, beef, rice, cheese, nuts, chocolate, olive oil. So, excuse me, guys. I'm so sorry. I just ate lunch. Excuse me. If any of these things are staples in your house, go ahead and buy some. Buy a little bit extra at the grocery store next time you're there before the month is up. Go ahead and do so. Rice is a staple. You only need rice and beans to have a complete protein, to have a complete meal. You can survive off of rice and beans. Stock up on rice, bro. I just bought a few bags of rice. It was hard to get from Walmart Plus. It's hard. It's very difficult to get, but I was able to get some. And just stock up on it. Chocolate, if you love chocolate, go ahead and do so. Cheese as well, olive oil, everything. Anything on that list that I just named off, if it's something that you really need and use every single day, buy it now. Buy it in the coming weeks before the month is up for sure. Next article. So I want to get into examples of what prices will look like in the future once Trump's tariffs hit. It says, this is from CAP, examples of potential consumer price hikes under Trump's tariffs. It says, a toddler clothing set made in Cambodia, 49% tariff priced at $24, now could cost you $35.76. Jeans made in Egypt on a 10% tariff priced at $39.98 could now cost $43.98. A soccer ball made in Pakistan, 29% tariff, priced at $17.99, now could cost $23.21. About 70% of the world's soccer balls are made in northeast Pakistan. Coffee from Brazil, 10% tariff. The largest source of coffee consumed in the U.S., priced at $8.30, now could cost $9.13. And lastly, a 2025 SUV made in Mexico, because many cars are now made in Mexico. If you guys don't know this, now many cars are being made in Mexico. So if we have a 2025 SUV made in Mexico priced at $31,395, will be subject to the Trump administration 25% auto tariffs and could cost $39,244. Previous modeling by the Budget Lab projected that as a result of the 25% auto tariffs alone, motor vehicle prices rise about 13.5% on average, the equivalent of an additional $6,400 to the price of an average new 2024 car. If you've been paying attention to the car market right now, cars are outrageously expensive. I do not recommend anyone go out and get a car loan, lease a car, finance a car, whatever it is. I highly recommend you try to save up money and buy a car with 100,000 miles on it, a decent car with 100,000 miles on it, and just make it right out, because there's no point in spending all this money for a vehicle. And, being car poor, there's just literally no point. Let's go down here. More examples here. We talked about the jeans from Egypt, and the tariffs differential rate, let's mention avocados. Avocados from Peru, they're now $2. With the tariffs in place, they can cost $2.20. A pound of strawberries from Chile now are $5.99. With the 10% tariff, will be $6.59. We talked about coffee. Let's talk about cashews from India, $13.99. Could now cost you $17.63. A 3-pound bag of rice from Thailand, $13.49 right now. On a 36% tariff, could cost you $18.35 for rice, a 3-pound bag of rice. Insane. Tea from Sri Lanka, $11 right now. 44% tariff could cost us $15.84 in the future. This is crazy because I love tea. I'm a huge tea drinker. I don't drink coffee, but tea is like my thing. And the fact that I could potentially be spending $20 on tea, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Kid sneakers from Vietnam are now $52. With the 46% tariff, they will be $75.92. That is like adult prices. Now imagine if children's sneakers are going to be that high. How much will the adult sneakers cost? $150, $200? They're going to be expensive. Shrimp, 12 ounces from Vietnam is now $6.29. With a 46% tariff, will now cost $9.18. Wow, $10 per bag of shrimp. I love shrimp. My husband and I, we follow the pescatarian diet, fish and shrimp, seafood specifically, excuse me. And to know that now we're spending about $5 on shrimp. And everybody's buying everything up. So we can only get the cooked shrimp right now. But to know that I could potentially be spending $10 for a bag of shrimp in the future is just ungodly. I wonder what fish will be, because fish right now is like $10 to $12, $10 to $15 per bag. With tariffs on, $20 to $25, $30 per bag. It's going to be insane. Children's clothing set from Cambodia, $24 right now. 49% tariff will be $35.76. A PlayStation 5, I wanted to say a PS5. PlayStation 5 from China is now $499. With a 54% tariff, this could now cost $768.46. That is not including the additional tariffs that Trump is placing on China right now, with a total tariff of 104%. This is going to be crazy. How are you going to afford a PS5 now? Like, how will you afford it in the games and whatnot? This is going to be so unaffordable. This is going to be crazy. A child's car seat from China is now $59. With a 54% tariff, it will now be $90.86. That is not including the total 104% tariff Trump just announced on China. So we're looking at probably $110, $120 for a children's car seat. Wow. Just wow. Unimaginable. I don't want to go into details of this article. I just want to read the price differential for you all. I want to just give you guys some words of wisdom as well. Keep saving up money. Decrease your spending if you can. Try to cut back on what you're spending money on. Focus on your needs and not so much your wants. Build up your emergency fund. Pay off your credit card debt. because with all this tariff talk, we need to think about layoffs. In my last live stream, I talked about layoffs because layoffs are very important because they go hand in hand with a down economy. These companies are going to be letting people go. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Companies are going to be letting people go. And I think it's important that remember layoffs will be a factor in all this. So not only will prices be higher, but people won't have jobs. So if you don't have jobs, how will you be able to afford these higher prices? Like it is going to get insane out here. It's going to get crazy. You're going to have to be creative with your living situation. Maybe you need to move in with a friend, get a roommate, move in with your family, move out of the country. It's going to be getting insane, but I would be amiss to come on here as an LGBT plus person, a black gay person, and not warn you guys. Like entertainment topics are great and all, but I have to talk about the real stuff too because it affects all of us. Whether you pay attention to the economy and politics or not, you're going to be affected by this stuff, and you want to start planning now, preparing now. Get your rice, get your tea, get your coffee, get your shrimp, get your fish. Soccer balls, cashews, strawberries, fruits, vegetables, whatever you can get now, go ahead and get it. I prefer frozen vegetables and fruits because they can last a little bit longer in the freezer than they can in the refrigerator. If you're planning to have a child in the near future, good luck. It's going to get much more expensive. Just best luck to you. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I'll come back with my closing remarks.
All right, brothers, what do you guys think about the articles and the commentary? Do you agree with me? Do you think, this won't happen? Do you think prices will be lower? Do you think businesses will lower their prices instead of raising them and blaming it on the tariffs? As I think about the situation, I cannot help but feel like Donald Trump wants to spark a recession. Why? So him and his rich friends, the billionaires, tech companies, whatever, CEOs, whatever, they can now buy assets on discounts. And we know that with every Republican president, we've just somehow managed to have a recession. And during those times, they buy up everything, homes, stocks, and they get rich out of all of it. So I think this is just another 2008 2.0, but this time there will be no bailouts. There will just be misery and pain for the middle class. I think it's going to get so bad that we're going to have the poor, the rich up here, and the poor down here. There's not going to be a middle class anymore. I see us totally disappearing as a middle class. It's hard, it's unfortunate, it's painful, but we can begin to plan and prepare for this stuff. I come on here and I talk about this in my live stream yesterday, but when I talk about, politics and money with you all, I want to wake you all up because we see this stuff on the news and social media, but for some reason, I don't think it hits home to us that this is real life. Like this can happen to us in a real way, Layoffs are going to exponentially increase exponentially. We know this because layoffs have increased Q1 of this year. They're going to just keep increasing, especially as tariffs come into play. So there's a little bit of buffer until these tariffs come into play, and we can begin to use that buffer to plan and prepare. So do it. Begin to plan and prepare your strategy for wearing this or writing this out. What are you going to do? What are you going to buy at the store next time? Are you going to cut back on spending? How are you going to pad your emergency fund up because emergencies will come? Are you going to keep contributing to your high yield savings account, which you should? Are you going to keep investing in index funds, which you should? I have put my link to my Acorns account in the description box and in the comment section for you guys to sign up for Acorns and get free money. You can do all of your financial transactions in one app and keep track of it all in that same app. Acorns is a super easy way to invest, start your emergency funds, start your retirement accounts, and lastly, I think you have an option for a high yield savings account in Acorns as well. So all the 4 things I preach on this channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude on YouTube. All the 4 things I talk about on this channel in Queer Money, you can do it all in Acorns. So look for that link, sign up, and get to it. But anyhow, Wolf is back. We'll pack. Take care and peace.
Before I go, I want to share with you guys this very funny TikTok that I found just for shits and giggles. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it.
Them doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
It's so funny. Before we go to the second round of it, it says, point of view, when you promise him some later, now payment is due. So you promise your dude some later, you're going to give him some, but now it's time to pay up. Let's see what's going down one more time before I go.
Close them doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. I said close them doors.
I love it. I love it.
Close the doors. Close the doors.
Yeah, now that's the time where you can demand to close the doors and somebody needs to pay up. If you're in a relationship, married and whatnot, they promise you sex a certain period of time. It's been a while, not a while meaning like a few hours. It's like now it's time to pay up. That's typical routine, hee hee ha ha stuff, but it's not a stick up for $40,000. So this is appropriate. This is funny. I love the banter around it. The people in the comments love it. It says pay up, and absolutely, I definitely agree.
I don't wanna see a nigga bluff, nigga kill, nigga up. Nigga, what's up? Nigga, what's good? You what they can't, I still trap in the hood. Cell phone bang all night, so I'ma get to it all night. Then on the weekends, when they try to catch flights. With another bitch, nigga, really I might. I never spare, nigga, dare, nigga, flap a nigga, rob a nigga, chop a nigga, buff a nigga, tell a nigga, real a nigga, fuck, real a nigga, spill a nigga. I'ma beat a nigga, never feed a nigga, never see a nigga, never need a nigga, cut a nigga, bust a nigga, can't fuss nigga, what's up, nigga, untouched nigga. Why you say so ugly?